Henriksen here, and we're with rockmusicstar.com. My boy John Jeffrey right here, Syracuse, hotel room, luxury baby.
Alright everybody, today we have Tommy Henriksen of the Alice Cooper Group. Thank you, Tommy, for taking time out today for the interview. Appreciate it.
And our second interview on a hotel room bed.
And we'll make it part of the annual hotel bedroom series.
Exactly.
And just to start things out, just to let anybody know, Tommy Henriksen may not be a household name for everybody's household. So why don't you just tell everybody briefly who you are and how you got involved with the Alice Cooper Band.
Alice Cooper. I've been producing and writing songs, for a while. I've had my own record deals and stuff like that, and how I met Alice was I actually was producing this band, Still Standing, a long time ago, and these two twin brothers, Johnny and someone's beating me over there, Johnny and Justin, and through there I met Calico, and then Alice came to my house one day to hang out, which was really funny, and then all of a sudden. But before that, I was actually a roadie for Alice Cooper in like 1996, I think. I was a keyboard tech runner / whatever it was, you know what I mean? And that's before I got my deal on Capitol. But anyway, then go forward, that's when I worked with Still Standing, and then I moved to Nashville in 2008, 2009, I think. And I moved down there, and I met Bob Ezrin. And Bob wanted me to work on a project that actually happened to be this Lou Reed thing, and that thing led to working with Alice Cooper, because after I did the Lou Reed thing with Bob, me and Bob started working on everything together, and we still work on everything right now when I'm even though I'm on the road and stuff like that. So he's kind of like my partner when it comes to that, and that's how it happened with Alice. We were doing these redos for Guitar Hero.
Gotcha. Now, your first actual, I guess, credit on Alice Cooper material would be the Welcome to My Nightmare, is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, and now after that album came out, and Alice did his first tour after that record was released, were you surprised that Alice called on you to join the touring band and be an additional guitar player?
When we were making the record, what happened was we're in the studio, and I was like, I was playing keyboards, I was programming, I was engineering, I was mixing, I was singing, and it's when Steve Hunter was playing too on the record, and we were doing it in Nashville, and then Steve, Bob, and Alice were like, because when they said Steve was going to join the band, Steve was like, we should just have Tommy, and I think, and Alice and Bob also was saying that we should have Tommy in the band too, and at first I was like, we're going to have 3 guitar players. I was like, who does that? And anyway, so it was one of those things where I thought about it, and I was like, you know what, it might be cool to go on tour with Alice Cooper, and that's how it happened. It was just one of those things. It wasn't like planned or anything. It was just like, all right, I'll go do it,
Okay, and when you first joined the band, initially it was on guitar, it was yourself,
Hunter and Johnson.
Yes.
Yeah.
Correct, and then there was a kind of a multitude of changes with Kerry Kelly coming back after he was gone, and then Orianthi. I mean, if you could just briefly, how did all that come about, and how do you feel about the lineup that you have now as far as guitar wise?
As far as guitar players in Alice Cooper's band, every guitar player has been an amazing guitar player. You know what I mean? I'm probably the worst guitar player out of all of them. But, no, not actually. But actually, all the guitar players that are in Alice Cooper, man, it's like they all come and go. It's like a revolving door, you know what I mean? Like, if someone, can't make a gig, someone will fill in, because it's like the set, the way Alice runs it, it's like no one could just come into this thing cold, because it's just like song after song after song. The songs aren't easy, they're complicated songs to play. And so if someone can't make it, like when I was having my baby, I called up Damon Johnson. Listen, I need you to fill in for me for a couple weeks. Great, done, boom. when Ori or Steve Hunter couldn't make it, Kerry Kelly would fill in, you know what I mean, when Ori wasn't in, you know. So it's kind of like that all the time. But when it was first Johnson, Hunter, and myself, that's when we worked really hard on the 3 guitar player thing. And then what happened was that Johnson left and joined Thin Lizzy. And then we got Ori, and then we had to rework it. And then it was Ori, Hunter, and myself. And then after that tour, Hunter wanted to go do his own thing, his solo record and all other stuff. And then they brought in Ryan, came back in the band, you know. And then it was Ryan, Ori, and myself for a while. And that was really great, and we really worked on the parts a lot, like really like fine-tuned them all. And then when Ori left and went with Richie Sambora, Nita Strauss came in, and then we fine-tuned them again. So every time it's just been, you know, every time it's great, but every time me and Ryan are always constantly like fine-tuning everything, whoever the new guitar player is. And Nita's working out great right now too. So the band sounds great. It's very consistent. You know, it's just like we don't even rehearse when we go. You know, we haven't been rehearsing. Say we have a tour. You know, we took 6 weeks off. We don't even rehearse. We just go do a gig, no sound check, because the crew is amazing and everyone just knows their job. You know. Right.
And I mean, as far as, you know, being authentic with the guitar parts, I would definitely say Ryan Roxy, you know, has been like, you know, part of the touring group for the better part of the last 20 years. Yeah. And I think, you know, him being kind of like, I guess you'd say, the number one guitar slot, you know, that seems to be a good chemistry, where before, when there was like Orianthi and featuring Orianthi and all that, it seemed like the dichotomy was off a bit. Do you feel things kind of settled into a better progression now with the lineup that you have now of the guitar players?
It's definitely settled in, because the nucleus of the band, you gotta remember, Chuck Garrick's been in the band, I don't know, for like 40 years, almost as long as Alice, you know. And everyone seems to forget that. That guy's been around longer than anybody. Longer than Roxy, I think, too. Because when Ryan left. But the nucleus of this band, like it's like Chuck, Ryan, myself, and Glenn. You know, I mean, any guitar player can come in here and it's going to sound like Alice Cooper, because, you know, we got all this stuff together. And as far as the dichotomy, let me shut this damn thing off. Who the hell's blowing me up over here? Damn people, man. God damn it. I hate these things. This thing's evil, man. I'm telling you. This shit's evil. But anyway, with the band now, I mean, seriously, with the band now, even with Ori, it's always different. But it's still Alice Cooper. At the end of the day, it's Alice Cooper. It's all about Alice, and we try and play the parts, you know, as good as we can, and write the right parts, the right chords, the right inversions. You know what I mean? We really worked on that stuff a lot. And right now with Nita, everything's going great. I mean, everyone just in a good spirit, good head. You know what I mean? Like, we did the Garden last night. It was great, and the tour's been great. So I can't complain about, you know, like musically, none of that stuff.
Great. And just going back to the recording side of things for a second, the first album that you worked on with Alice was the Welcome to My Nightmare. And, you know, for me as a fan, if you look at all the accolades and writers and people involved on the record, it looks like a masterpiece on paper. But to be honest, it's not one of my favorite releases. In your opinion, what do you think, why, you know, again, having like yourself, Chuck Garrick, Bob Ezrin, the original Alice Cooper group guys, you know, everybody being involved in a record, but it wasn't the best Alice Cooper record. Why do you think that?
Well, I don't. Well, everyone's open and entitled to their opinions, you know. And I think Bob that was the first time Bob got back with Alice. You know what I mean? Working on a record together. So I think you gotta like, as far as that whole thing, you know, you have a lot of things that are flying around and stuff like that. And overall, I think there's brilliant moments on that record. You know what I mean? It's a great record. I wasn't around for the first Welcome to My Nightmare. I just bought it when I was a kid, you know what I mean? So when we did Welcome to My Nightmare, you know what I mean? It's like, it's really, I can't really say anything. It's just, you know, I think it's a great record, but you know, it's like, I think the next record, whenever we do this next record, you know, I mean, it always gets better, I think, you know. So if it was a letdown to some people, you know, some people loved it, some, you know, not everyone's going to love what you do, so. But I can't give you an answer on that, actually. I don't know how to answer that.
Okay, that's fair enough.
You know, because the guys on the, I mean, there's some great songs on that record, and there's some great moments on the record, you know. So, and Steve Hunter played some amazing solos on that record.
And now you're releasing a new solo record, Tommy, Tommy, Tommy. Could you tell us about your approach to this record and maybe some of your influences that helped mold the record, and tell us, you know, about the release?
Well, the record, I really wasn't really like, it took me a while to be inspired to work on a record for myself again, because every time you do something, everybody hates it, everybody's, you know, everyone fucking loves to hate everything. No one can fucking say anything nice, you know what I mean? And it's kind of depressing, because it's like, you know, I just, because everyone's a critic, everyone's a fucking songwriter, everyone's a producer, everyone's a film critic, everyone's a food critic, you know, everybody's everything. Everybody knows everything these days. I don't know nothing. That's the way I always look at it. But when I started doing this record, I sat in my bedroom in Switzerland and I was like, you know what? I was like, I feel inspired to make a record. I'm not trying to make a record to write hit songs. I was just sitting there going, I just want to like write stuff that I love, you know what I mean? I love pop music. I love rock music. I love punk music. I love electronic music. I love parts of country music, like the real country music, not the bullshit that they call country right now. You know what I mean? I'm talking about like real shit. And I love like parts of world music too. You know, so I was just like sitting there from when I did my first solo record. You know, it's like I love Bruce Springsteen. I love Peter Gabriel's like my biggest influence, and I love Iggy Pop, you know, so I was like sitting there going, how do I take all this stuff and actually put it all together? And it was really hard, and then I'm sitting there going, you know, I love the Ramones, I love the Clash, so I'm like saying to myself, how do I do these things to make it come through? And it was really hard for me, because I'm sitting there going, alright, I got this electronic drum thing that I'm programming all this stuff, and then I got these punk rock guitars, and I'm going, sounds cool to me, you know, and it was just weird though, because it really came together. Like it was, I thought it was going to be a lot harder, but when I first got like the first song together, I was like, this is going to be pretty cool, because I was putting like banjos on it. I had my buddy Jason Roller play like fiddle on some songs, and then I had like Steve Hunter play a couple guitar solos, and lyrically was the most important thing for me. I wanted to make it lyrically like really great, like fun lyrics, you know what I mean? Like great titles, and just clever, you know? And you know, that's what I was just trying to do, you know? So I wasn't trying to change anything, just doing what I love to do, you know?
Well, me listening to the record, I think the underlining theme is fun.
Yeah.
When I first heard, before I heard the entire record, the first song I heard was All My Heroes.
Yeah.
And I have to say, that song was the first time when I actually listened to music and it actually changed my mood. I wasn't feeling very good that day.
Yeah.
And I listened to the song, and that music just changed my mood. And I think that that's great that in today's world of, you know, disposable music, like you said, everybody's a producer, everybody's a songwriter, everybody's a star. You know, the fact that, you know, here you are, you have this record, and you're putting out music that actually can influence the way that you feel. And I think that's the most important thing that you can do.
Yeah, and when I wrote that song, I was sitting there, and that first part I came up was like, I was like, these are my heroes, my heroes. And I was like, you never be forgotten because you are my heroes. And I was like, how should I put this together? Because I almost thought it was going to be cheesy. You know what I mean? And I got to tell you, that song came together so fast because I started strumming it, and I was trying to do like an Iggy Pop thing. You know what I mean? I was just doing these simple chords, and all of a sudden I was like, 1974, Queens, New York. And I was like, Joey, Johnny, Tommy, and Dee Dee Ramone, 4 leather jackets with nothing to prove. They're going to make punk rock with an attitude. And then I said, hey, ho, let's go. And I was like, that's pretty cool. I'll use like some song titles and throw them in there. And then I did the Clash thing. and then I put everyone I admire. I left a couple out, you know what I mean? But because after you finish the song, all of a sudden you go, oh yeah, fuck, I should have put Sting in there, The Police, Motley Crue. You know, there's a couple other ones that I left out, but you can only get as many as, you know, the song's only 2.5 minutes long, so.
Right, and can you tell people how they can get your CD?
Well, the CD, I did this deal. I produced this band like in China. It's a band called China in Switzerland. Good friend of mine, Eric's the singer, and I produced this band last year, and they're on this label called K-Tel Records, which everyone who's like around our age, you know what I mean? Well, I don't know how old you are, right. But anyway. K-Tel Records has been around since the 70s. They used to do these compilation records before anyone did compilations, like K-Tel Records and tapes. And anyway, so when I heard the name K-Tel Records, I was like, there's a K-Tel Records still? And I met the guy who owns K-Tel Records. And so I did this record in Switzerland, and he said to me at the time, he's like, after I finished the record, he's like, do you still make music? And I was like, yeah. He's like, well, if you ever decide to put out a record again, I'd like to put it out here in Switzerland. So, and I was already working on songs, so it just happened where Martin said, let's put the record out in Switzerland on K-Tel. And I think it's coming out in Germany and Austria on Rough Trade and K-Tel. And the single's coming out October 31st, and the record might be January, somewhere around there or earlier, I don't know, but probably more likely in the new year. Because we're just working on stuff. I just did another video for all my heroes in Manhattan, and we're just going to try and just keep on doing videos for songs and stuff and just putting it out there and letting it happen organically, you know what I mean? Because we don't have the budget, or, you know, it's not a label who's going to put like $1 million behind me and shove it down your throat and say, you better love this. You know, it's just word of mouth right now. You know, you can only buy the record in Roxy's International Rock and Roll parking lot. That's the only, you know, if you want to just Facebook me or something, I'll bring a copy with me, you know. So that's what's happening with that.
Okay, and how long is that going for, just in case people aren't aware of that?
Well, that's going for as long as this tour is, you know what I mean? We'll be out here almost till December.
Okay.
So then it'll only be a month, unless someone wants really bad, they could track me down, or track someone down, just get in touch with me. I'll be more than happy to mail it out to you. You could talk to Manny, my buddy Manny at Sick Truth Clothing. He's on Facebook, and he does a lot of t-shirts and stuff like that. And but it will be available. I haven't made it. I can make it available right now, but I just want to build a story over in Europe before I try and do anything here. You know, so that's the only reason why I'm doing it that way.
Right, and in addition to, you know, now you're putting out your latest solo album, you also did work on Roxy's 77. You produced, or mixed rather, the American version of the songs on his EP, and you produced Bisto Blanco. Is it just coincidence that you wound up being involved with both of those records, or?
We're out here, man, and you know, like it's a lot of bands, you know what I mean? We are actually all really good friends, you know? And we all respect each other, you know? Like, so when Chuck wanted to do Bisto Blanco, I was like, dude, you know, we should do this thing. And it was just like one of those things. So he was writing the songs on the road, and then we came back and we put that record together, and that record came out amazing. And I just love Chuck's voice because it's just so rock and roll. I just love, like, distorted voices. I just like, Rah! And then I also love, like, really, you know, really pretty voices and stuff like that. But with Chuck, I just loved it, man, because it was just so rock and roll and so real. And we're working on another record too. He's writing songs right now, so we'll have another Bisto Blanco record. Well, he will, and I'll work on that also with him. But Roxy's record, it's another thing. All of a sudden, you go from Bisto Blanco to like this whole poppy, punky, cheap trick thing. What he does, and he just sent me the tracks, and I said, dude, let me just mix it for you. So. And then I just mixed it and put some other things on it for him, stuff like that. And his songs, that record sounds great too. Both records, the songs are great, you know. And I just did Kerry Kelly's Project Rock record, which isn't out yet. I just finished that too, and that's coming out soon. And that was with like Rudy Sarzo, Tim the Ripper, James Kotek, Glenn also played on it, Kerry, and Teddy Zigzag. And that record, dude, came out great too. So I'm actually very happy with all of those records. So I hope everyone else checks it out and gives it a listen when they do come out.
That's great, and I'm sure the ultimate thing for you is having already written and now performing with Alice's band.
Yeah.
I'm sure as a producer, the ultimate goal would be you would love to produce an Alice Cooper record.
Yeah, I produce it with Bob. You know what I mean? But so it's just like, I'm like the associate, junior, whatever Bob wants to call me. You know what I mean? Producer, whatever he does. And because like being in the studio with Bob is just like anything. It's like it's a learning experience. It's a process. And when you could be around people like that, when you surround yourself with people like Bob's a legend, and he's made some of my favorite records of all time. And it's like all this stuff all these other guys are doing. I mean, Bob Ezrin's he's in that league that, I don't know, man. It's like when the world ends and they close the vault to fucking rock and roll, Bob Ezrin his records will be in that vault. You know what I mean? And that's all I gotta say. So.
Well, wrapping things up, is there anything else that you'd like all your fans or Alice Cooper fans you'd like them to know about what you have coming up, or anything else that you'd like to share?
I'm still trying to, my fans, I don't know who my fans are, I don't consider them fans. I'm like, hey man, you know what? I like friends, and Alice Cooper has fans, and Alice Cooper's fans have become like a lot of people. I see familiar faces every time I'm on tour. You know what I mean? Sometimes I don't get the names because it's fucking getting hit with all this other, But his fans are great fans, and they're really supportive of Alice's musicians outside of his band, which is really cool. And Alice is very supportive of it too. Like Alice wants to see us all do well, which is really cool. And the fans, Alice Cooper's fans, they accept like our records, Bisto Blanco, Roxy 77. My record, my Tommy Henriksen thing, Orianti's records, you know what I mean? Kerry Kelly's records, Damon Johnson, Steve Hunter. I mean, the list goes on where they support not only Alice, but they support everyone in this organization. And it's like, it's really, I can't be thankful enough for that. And, I don't bullshit, it's just like, I'm just thankful to be out here, man. And people, if they like my record, that's great. If they don't like it, that's cool too, you know what I mean? But when you write bullshit about people, man, that's the shit I can't stand. Everyone fucking like hides behind a computer like, it's stupid. I ain't got time for that.